We are expected to get an RFK Jr. vice presidential announcement next week.
That's right.
Next Tuesday. And there was a leak, some potentially accurate, I don't know, reporting from Mediaite. They seem to have an in the RFK Jr. campaign, Mediaite.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see
I'm
if this
still
pans out.
some of this. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
So here's who they are saying is going to be RFK's pick. Woman named Nicole Shanahan, who they describe as a California-based attorney and entrepreneur, once married to Google co-founder Sergey Brin. That is who Mediaite is claiming that RFK Jr. is going to pick. Shanahan has apparently already been involved with the campaign, at least from an arm's length distance. She was the one who funded and put together that Kennedy Super Bowl commercial that we showed you that was like heavy on the Kennedy nostalgia that we both thought was very effective and very smart. And so she, obviously having divorced Sergey Brin, has a good amount of money to lend to the effort. And according to their source at Mediaite, that is a key part of his interest in her. They said, quote, she might be infusing millions of dollars into the campaign to help fund the ballot initiative. That's the effort to get his name on the ballots, which makes her attractive financially. However, this source, and I guess this is why they're leaking it to Mediaite, they say she lacks the qualifications to actually do the job. They also say that she aligns with him on numerous issues. The campaign is also looking for a candidate who can help finance the ballot access initiative that will be crucial if Kennedy stands a chance of competing in the election. So to be honest with you, this is the first I'd heard of her. Apparently there was some dust up with the Wall Street Journal where they had reported that while she was separated from Sergey Brin, but still married to him, not yet divorced, that she and Elon Musk had an affair. Musk vociferously denied this. It was also reported this was like, a real rupture, as one could understand, in his relationship with Sergey Brin. So there was that whole situation. Everyone involved, I think, basically denies this happened, but the Wall Street Journal stands by it, so make of that what you will.
Listen, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So from what I heard, he ain't no Boy Scout himself, Mr. Brin. I'll just leave it at that. But from what we understand, at least with some of the reporting, the only reason I knew who she was is because she was married to Sergey Brin, but also because I knew that she had donated quite a bit of money to the RFK Jr. Super PAC previously, which does raise some questions here about pay to play if she does get the eventual tap for vice president. Don't forget, this is not 100% done. RFK Jr. was asked about this last night by Chris Cuomo. He said he was considering her. He won't.
Really? I missed that.
He did not say that she was officially the pick or any of that. We still have Aaron Rodgers, who is in the running, Mike Rowe, some of these other individuals, Tulsi Gabbard as well, Andrew Yang apparently.
Oh, really?
These are all people that the domain names, at least for all these people, had been registered. They'd been approached. We don't know, who is in the running or not. Tulsi was asked, I would know about running as Trump's vice president. She did seem to answer affirmatively as if she would be willing to do something like that. Let's put this up there on the screen in terms of the reporting. This is from a guy I really trust, Teddy Schleifer. We've had him on the show previously. He does a really good job covering Silicon Valley specifically. And he says, forget Aaron Rodgers, what if the next vice president is Nicole Shanahan? There's a lot of buzz in the RFK Jr. circle that Shanahan, who's that philanthropist and the native of Oakland, where Kennedy VP is soon to take place, could be the choice. Of course, no decision is final. This is from the RFK Jr. campaign itself. They say, oh boy, this media, they were sure that about Aaron. Now they're sure about Nicole. Tomorrow they'll be sure about somebody else. The truth is they're just going to have to wait until we all get to celebrate Bobby's brilliant running mate together in 10 days. While I can't share a name, I will say I could not be more thrilled with this decision. He ran a thorough process and he has chosen a vice president who is truly worthy of the American people. So I guess that will be the big question, Krystal, as to who exactly he does pick. Yeah. I am not as sure maybe as she is that the pick is actually certain, because this is what people do all the time. They float them and then see what the reception is. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, maybe how would the sports world freak, how can he handle the attention? What about Mike Rowe? Mike Rowe seems to have, posted positively about it. What about Jesse Ventura? Ryan and I talked about that. I actually think Jesse would be a cool pick. I like Jesse.
Jesse's wild.
Yeah, he's a wild man. That's why I love him. You can't
control that man, let me tell you. He's going to do what he's going to do.
If we're going for it, let's go for it, okay? Let's not pick some Google heiress or whatever. Let's pick somebody who's really going to shake things up, because that's what he's claiming. So anyways, I have no idea. That said, though, the recent actions by the White House show that they're still not 100% writing off the RFK Jr. campaign. They are definitely still looking at him as a little bit of a threat.
Yeah, so let me get to that in 1 minute. I just want to say a couple more things about Nicole Shanahan. First of all, if it is her, it does say something about the way they're thinking about the biggest challenges in the campaign. I mean, it reveals that having the money to get on the ballot is the number one priority.
So then maybe it's a good strategy.
Yeah, if you were primarily concerned about electoral appeal, I mean, no offense to Nicole Shanahan. This is the first I've ever heard of her. I have zero opinion of her, positive, negative, or otherwise, although it does say that she was a bundler for Pete Buttigieg, so I do hold that against her. But and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we know about her politics in a minute. But you know, if you were really looking for an electoral pop, I think you would go for more of a celebrity household name.
Aaron Rodgers.
To add to the Kennedy name, you know, I think that probably would make more sense I don't know necessarily Aaron. I mean, maybe people freaking love these, you know, athletic.
I said last time you should pick him. It's just, it's a headline. It's everybody in America.
Everyone talk about it. You couldn't help but talk about it. This, you know, Nicole Shanahan, no one knows who she, very few people know who she is. So it doesn't really impact the ticket one way or another. I mean, and perhaps that is part of the calculus too, that RFK Jr. wants to be the guy on the ticket, right? If you're RFK Jr. and Jesse Ventura is a gigantic personality. You are not going to outshine Jesse Ventura. No, I don't care who you are in this great nation. You are not going to outshine Jesse Ventura, so perhaps that's part of the calculus as well. Her politics up to this point, she's been very focused on, you know, what would read as sort of traditionally liberal positions. She's been very focused on reproductive health and justice. She talked in this interview that she gave to Teddy Schleifer a while ago, not in connection to this RFK Jr. Chat, but she talked about how that was really important to her. She talks a lot about the environment being very important to her. Of course, that has been, you know, part of Bobby Kennedy's career as a lawyer as well. So you can see how they may be simpatico there. I haven't seen anything about, like, you know, vaccines or COVID or any of those pieces. There were more sort of traditional, standard liberal positions that were at least identified in this interview, which also meshes with the fact that she was barely behind Pete Buttigieg last time around. So anyway, that's the little bit that we know about her. But yes, Saagar, you are correct that there is apparently, this is a great display of pettiness, I think, coming from the White House. So on St. Patrick's Day, they hosted at the White House with Joe Biden, like the entire Kennedy clan, minus RFK Jr. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Kennedy family, sans RFK Jr. poses with Biden at the White House. I mean, if you look at the picture, I don't think we have the picture. We should have grabbed that. But if you look at the picture, I mean, there's dozens of Kennedys there, and very conspicuously absent RFK Jr. In addition, Carrie Kennedy, one of Mr. Kennedy's sisters, posted that picture of the family on Twitter at the White House with Mr. Biden and said, "President Biden, you make the world better." What a lie. Mr. Biden responded to the post, Saagar, from one proud Irish family to another. It was good to have you all back at the White House.
Yes.
So definitely a pointed jab there at RFK Jr. And they've also enlisted Liz Smith and others to directly try to combat the third-party efforts, not only from RFK Jr., but Cornel West, Jill Stein, and potentially others. So
yes, look, I think
they're taking it seriously, which they need to.
They should take it seriously. Well, and that's, look, you maybe changed my mind a little bit. One of the reasons why I said Aaron Rodgers, because everybody knows Aaron Rodgers. He's super famous. And that would possibly lead to a groundswell of campaign donations, and then you can get on the ballot. The other way is you pick a rich lady, and she pays for your ballot access.
Right.
Not a bad strategy. So, if anything, let's just give people the option. Everything is about options. It's about putting your name on that ballot. If it's going to cost $25, $30, $50 million or something like that, it's probably just more efficient to pick somebody who has that on tap or who knows a bunch of other rich people who are bundlers. So it could be that that is the correct strategy, and especially if this is an inoffensive pick. You know, in some ways, you know, RFK Jr., just because he is such a lightning rod in so many ways, you pick somebody who's a blank slate and people don't know very much about. That's also not terrible. You know, Aaron himself, him and Bobby are very aligned on certain policy issues, specifically whenever it comes to COVID. That could lead to more of a valence on the campaign that he doesn't want. He wants it to just be blank slate such that you could project anything that you want on top of it, and that's probably his best bet to eat into any of the margins whenever it comes to the general election.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
I don't know
see.
either.
I mean, number one hurdle is getting on the ballot.
Right.
So if this is going to help you achieve that aim, it probably is the right goal. Again, with all the caveats that we don't even really know if this is Nicole Shanahan is going to be the pick or not. Although, listen, in addition to being in Oakland, which she's from has ties to, whatever, she is from Oakland. They also did register Kennedy Shanahan, and that, but they also registered a number of different ones. So signs are pointing that she's at least in the running. That's confirmed by Amaryllis Fox that she was certainly considered. Although obviously they're not saying whether she is the pick yet or not. We will all wait and find out next week. Last piece here, I just had to get this in because I love this article with the St. Patrick's Day Irish-American tie-in. Al Jazeera did a great write-up about how Ireland is disowning Joe Biden as one of their native sons. Put this up on the screen. Ireland, they say, has long been one of Palestine's foremost Western supporters. Country was the first EU member to endorse the Palestinian state, and after October 7, Irish lawmakers were among the first in the West to call for a ceasefire. The Irish public support is even more robust than their politicians. About 80% of Irish people believe Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Many have called for a boycott of a White House meeting that just occurred. In light of this fierce support, an Israeli minister recently told Palestinians to go to Ireland or the desert. And so the Irish public has largely turned on Joe Biden. In November, a mural of Biden in his ancestors' hometown was spattered over with red paint, along with the words "Genocide Joe." But they go on to interview also a bunch of Irish Americans who are similarly disgusted with the unconditional support of Israel and the aiding and abetting of, what they and the ICJ says is plausibly a genocide. And so lots of great quotes here about just how disgusted they are with Joe Biden, and how seriously he takes his Irishness and how much he loves being part of this tribe.
That said, Krystal, the Irish PM was here in Washington yesterday, and I think talked to Biden at the Gridiron dinner, so I don't know, maybe it's not me.
He said some pretty pointed things, though, about Palestinian civilians.
What's his name? Varadkar? Something. Leo Varadkar, I forget. They refer to him as something different, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. It starts with a T.
Taoiseach or something like that.
Whatever. Sorry, Irish people. I'm marrying into an Irish family.
Butchering this right now.
I guess I should know this, but it's one of those where... Anyway, as I understand it, he's still here. Mr. Varadkar was here in Washington. I know for sure at this very fancy party because there were images that came out of him and Biden. But you are right that Biden takes his Irishness very, very seriously, to the point where he was didn't want to meet. He didn't want to, appear too obsequious to the royal family because of his Irish American heritage, which is a whole other thing that I won't get into right now.
Yeah, so apparently the prime minister made some very pointed comments about why the Irish have such historic empathy with the Palestinians, with Biden having to stand there.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
okay.
that did occur.
Sense. Okay.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.